Hi, everyone. I'm here today with Lior Tamir, founder of a dental cloud software that I was not expecting to be impressed with, but after looking at it, I found out that it is something that no other cloud software actually does. I want to ask Lior to introduce yourself, Lior, who you are, and tell me a little about how you got into this dental app.
Thank you for having me, first of all, and for hearing me out all these months. I've been annoying you to pay attention to what we're doing, so I really appreciate it, Bob. So a little bit about myself. I'm a practicing dentist, and I think there's a certain perspective that comes along with that, where I can really relate to dental practice owners. I run a practice. I got through the pandemic. I know exactly what it means to pay payroll and deal with patient complaints and so on and so forth. And a lot of what makes what we've done pretty unique is the fact that I had the experience to take a de novo practice from scratch and scale it up and had to sort out how to best build or grow the practice. A little bit about myself. I went to UOP. I graduated in 2009, which was the peak of the recession. And I don't have any family in dentistry. When I got out of dental school, I had a really difficult time finding work opportunities just because of the recession. And one thing led to another. I ended up pivoting and temporarily leaving dentistry. And I ended up working in the advertising space. I built a software company that built software for advertisers. So essentially, we would work with brands that had a certain budget. Let's say they wanted to take $50,000 and optimize that spend across different paid channels. And we built the software that would automate that process and scale that up. We contributed a lot to the digital arm of WME-IMG, which is today a publicly traded company. And that kind of is my background in terms of how I got into software. In 2016, I had a really unique opportunity to purchase a dental facility that a previous dentist had left abandoned. I think they defaulted on their loan. There was something along that line. And I was able to acquire that and start a practice from scratch. And as soon as I started doing that, the first thing I started looking for is, okay, how do we create a unique experience? What does branding mean from the perspective of dentistry? And how do you attract customers? How do you get patients to understand their treatment and then follow up and take care of it? How do you bill insurances? I had all these things that I was immediately trying to sort out. And in the beginning, I started using Open Dental. From there, I started looking for different cloud solutions and was really surprised by the lack of options that we have as dentists. When there's a lot of third-party solutions that you can integrate, but even those really fall short in terms of trying to solve for the core business functionalities that you need to achieve when you're running a dental practice. So what do I mean by that? One is just the foundation of like when a new patient comes in, how do you work with that patient to help them understand the why behind their treatment or the overarching aspect of their treatment? As dentists, we are not just looking at teeth. We're looking at gums and bones and TMJ and airway and orthodontic screening. And so having some sort of way to communicate with patients in terms of having them understand their treatment, that seemed to be a shortcoming of a lot of the software I saw. Another thing that made my own practice quite successful over the years was we really had a tight business workflow around patients that would come in, have treatment recommended for them, and then they never schedule for whatever reason. Sometimes it's they're traveling, sometimes it's finances, sometimes it's they want a second opinion, whatever it may be. I think in every practice, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands of patients that you see over the years that you've recommended treatment to that don't end up completing it. And historically, the way that you would deal with it is you're either keeping track of them manually, you're either getting like analytics where they export a list, and then you're following up with them manually. But this is essentially a business workflow that you have to have some sort of organization around to make sure that you're following up with them, and it's really hard to track. We all know the challenge of dealing with insurance claims, keeping track of things like downgraded materials and missing tooth clauses and exclusions and so on. So being able to get detailed estimates, but then also follow up with insurance claims and get paid in a timely manner. And last but not least, measuring things, right? As a numbers person, when you're running your practice, you really have to pay attention to what's your overhead, what are you producing, what's your realization rate? And it just became really difficult to achieve all of these things not to mention extremely expensive once you start buying third-party solutions that don't necessarily work together. When you have a bunch of pieces together, if you consolidate it, the outcome is not the sum of the parts, right? There's some magic that starts to happen when you have everything built in and working together in a way where you can keep track of the nitty-gritty aspects of your practice. And that's really the inspiration for the dental apps. We're practice management software, but what we've done is we've approached managing the practice from a business perspective. What business workflows are critical to running a successful practice? We've implemented those to help other dental offices implement those seamlessly. So they're not buying software and then trying to build manual processes around it. It's built in from the ground up. I scaled my practice from a de novo practice. In under 7 years, we did over $5 million in collections. I've now helped many other practices scale and fine-tune their new patient experience. I call it like a new patient boot camp, but new patient experience, implementing business processes, and most importantly, measuring the things that they're doing to see what the impact is and to fine-tune. And that's what the dental app is all about, is trying to help other practices achieve being able to implement those business practices in a seamless way and just have high quality software that doesn't break the bank.
I had one of these analytics companies that integrated with my software for almost a year, and I think we opened it up twice. So what attracted me to your software was the fact that it is the only software I know that's built around analytics. And the first thing I asked Lior was, what are you doing about imaging? And Lior said, that's a complicated thing. So the cloud imaging, which is, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, imaging software on the planet. You cannot get any better than SOTA Cloud Imaging, and Lior utilizes them for their imaging. Tell me about this huge responsibility. And I say responsibility because it is a responsibility taking care of other people's data. I want to know about how your team is making sure if I come with a dental app, I'm taken care of.
We have implemented a lot of security aspects to the system with two-factor authentication. We create virtual servers for each individual office, so you don't have the noisy neighbor effect. If you have an issue with one office or there's data leakage with one, it doesn't affect the others. We went through a HIPAA compliant audit. My engineering teams are world-class engineers, all US based. And going back to what you said about SOTA, I think what's really important about the dental app, and also what makes us different than what's out there, is that we have a very strong belief about what our core competencies are. And we feel we're not going to be the ones that build every aspect of everything you want. So we think we have the core important business operations that are critical for the dental office. We've mapped those out. We do those exceptionally well. For example, imaging. Imaging is such a complex thing to solve. There's all kinds of approvals you need. There's so many different sensors. There's the speed, how you store things. We're just not going to be the industry experts at that. So we've partnered up. And the way that we've designed the dental app is we're an app store for additional services. We partnered up with Referra for referral software. We are going to work with Bola to integrate their voice-over AI. So the way to think about the dental app also is we'll have an app store for auxiliary services. For example, you need revenue cycle management. You're going to have the best-in-class people out there that are there to help practices out and make it available. And that's how we think about ourselves, is we're the foundation, and then we're going to partner up with best-in-class and just make these things available in a seamless integration. So you're not scrambling to find ways to make it happen. SOTA also has Pearl, AI aspect of reading the x-rays, all built in. And that's what makes us pretty unique.
What I want to do now is go over the software so people can see what it looks like and how it is implemented in Office. Can you share your screen for us and show us around the software, please?
Absolutely.
This is a demo version. I don't want people to be messaging me, oh, HIPAA violation. And I want to mention first here that everything is accessed through the Google Chrome web browser. This is not a software installed on your computer, and that's the definition of a cloud software.
Yes, so this is the sandbox here. What we talked about in terms of the different aspects of the platform, you have calendar, messaging, tasks are related to how you assign things to your different staff members. I'm going to go over pipeline. I think pipeline is the one thing that people get the most excited about, our claims dashboard, email campaigns, automatic reminders, analytics, reports. So we cover the full aspect of running the practice. I'm going to try to focus our demo on the things that I mentioned are quite unique. So the first thing that I'll run you through is what we call our guided patient exam. I created a new patient here. We'll call it the Bob demo. Any empty slot, once you click it, it pulls up your patient list, and you can
Okay.
either search for patients, add a new patient, or block out the time. So in this case, I created a new patient. We called it the Bob demo, and we included the codes that we would typically use when a new patient comes in: Profi, Comp Exam, and FMX.
Okay.
Whenever you have a comp exam in the schedule, it'll prompt you to open the clinical workflow. So the clinical workflow for a comp exam is our guided patient exam. Now, when I started my practice, this was the workflow that I used to walk patients through what they needed to complete in terms of treatment. So really helping them understand the why behind their treatment. But this became really critical for me as I added more doctors to my office. So when I added more doctors to my office, I wanted to make sure that they were all treatment planning the same way, that they were being just as thorough as I was when I was treatment planning for patients, and really taking the time to walk through a TMJ screening, a cancer screening, ortho. I think that occlusion and bite relationship is probably one of the least diagnosed aspects of our profession. We'll look at a posterior tooth and say, oh, there's some cracks, or the crown of PFM is chipping, but the why behind it a lot of times has to do with maybe they have an airway issue, or maybe they have anterior open bite and all their forces are hitting the back teeth. And without really having the conversation or documenting that you had a conversation about these things, you're leaving a lot on the table. And so I built my reputation in the community as being extremely thorough by running through this guided patient exam that I'm going to show you. So on the left-hand side, you have these prompts: the hard tissue, the perio, ortho, TMJ, cancer planning, and summary.
Show me how you're doing that.
So I'm selecting tooth 4 and 13. I'm going to say these teeth are missing. Okay. And then in the existing restorations, I'm going to just say this patient has MOD on tooth number 14, a composite.
So up here, there are 3 things: missing teeth, existing, treatment. Simple and clean. I really like that.
Exactly. And then when we get to treatments needed, this is where we're going to start inputting treatments, right? So for example, I'm going to suggest that this patient gets implants where they have these missing teeth.
This was a cool feature. Because it's an empty spot, all you did was a right click and it showed either a bridge or an implant.
Exactly. And then let me move this here. And what happens is, as we add treatment, it's adding all the treatment to this right-hand bar, and it has all the codes. So the surgical placement of the implant, the abutment, the crown, and you can edit these, but there's a lot of these explosion codes and shortcuts built in. When we onboard our offices, we help them customize these explosion codes. For example, we've worked with some oral surgery offices. We're going to say, let's extract the wisdom teeth. So we have here out of the box soft tissue impacted wisdom teeth or partial bony, but we've added things like completely bony impaction with complications and all kinds of additional codes and features that certain specialties have requested, or certain offices have certain things that they do. Sometimes they'll do a sinus lift and they want to add a Versa approach code, just different things like that that we can easily customize. We can add conditions, right? So what I did was I selected wisdom teeth to get extracted. And then, for example, it prompts you, is there gross decay? Is it impacted? Is it for ortho? We're going to just say they're impacted. And so now when we add that, it adds the details that we put in there. And for example, they're impacted. And this is important because when your office staff is following up with these patients to say, hey, you have gross decay under a crown, or your wisdom teeth are impacted, can turn into a problem, like having this kind of documentation is really important. So I'm going to keep going. And there's a reason I'm doing this. So for example, I'm going to say this patient needs a root canal here, and we'll do root canal buildup in crown because they have an abscess. And we're also going to select a bunch of fillings that they need. So we'll put a bunch of composites. I'm going to show you one more thing. Like when you select the front tooth, if you go to composite, it automatically knows that it's incisal, not occlusal, and facial. So there's a lot of like logic built into this to really fine tune how you operate. I'm going to move on to perio. So we're going to create a new perio chart for this patient. And for the sake of just the demo purposes, I'm going to hit within normal limits and then just go in, type in some deep pockets. Same thing for attachment loss. And diagnosis, so again, you can specify a perio diagnosis. So we'll say that this patient has, even though we didn't plug in the numbers, we'll say that they have a class 3 perio, and we're going to recommend some deep cleanings. And move on to orthodontic screening. Again, this is something that's really near and dear to my heart. I always train my associates, you've got to look at the bite. You need to make sure that You're really detailed on why certain things are happening in their mouth, like what does wear and tear look like and why did it happen in the first place? Always going through, have you had ortho in the past? Yes. Do you wear retainers? No. So what's the bite classification? Let's say they have an overbite. If they have a crossbite, you can document that. Canine guidance, tissue thickness. If you go into this, you can specify overbite and overjets accordingly if they have any habits. But these are, again, really critical things to help understand why certain things are happening in the mouth. So we're going to suggest ortho for this patient. And then go into the TMJs. Any pain, no pain, range of motion is normal. Any clicking or popping, crepitus, deviation, do they clench or grind? Headaches, earaches, and ringing in ears. So again, a lot of this is just prompting you to have this conversation. By the way, because it's cloud-based, this is all designed to work on an iPad. So usually I have x-rays pulled up on the main screen and my assistant is on an iPad and she's filling this out as I'm having this conversation with the patient. We'll do our cancer screening. So again, there's shortcuts. If you look inside, everything looks good. You want to use a quick way to just document everything all within normal limits. Our refer integration is going to make it so that when you have options to do referrals, it'll automatically set you up to then prompt you to start filling out the referral. And then we get into planning. So I've always been good at communicating with patients, but the way I communicate is I always specify, okay, look, when you have an abscess, that's the first thing you got to do, right? There's an order of operations. You got to put the fire out. And so I've developed this way where you can specify things as things the patient must do, should do, or could do. And as you go through this, you can go through and change the importance of each one. You can create priorities. But if you hit this button here, and this is really cool, if you hit optimize treatment plan, the system has logic built in where it's going to automatically prioritize the treatment. For example, step 1, do the root canal. Step 2, quadrant-based dentistry, starting with the root canal. And then again, you can change this. This is not, you can go in and move things around to the different appointments. You can change the importance. I've seen so many offices, they hand a routing slip to the front. They say, look, here are the 15 things that need to get done. And there's no organization to it. The dentist is running between room to room. This is just a quick and easy way to get a general structure. And that gives the front so much power in terms of following up. So this is the summary view. This is presentation mode that you can walk through everything with a patient. So this is what I pull back up on the screen. Now, by the way, you don't need to do this guided patient exam. I have probably 50% of the offices that use our software don't consistently do this, 50% do. You can just hit the chart. They need a MOD or MO on tooth number 2, right? And there's decay there, and boom, now we've added it. And you can go through and organize everything into the treatment plan page. You can see all the things that you've treatment planned. You can change the importance of things. You can create new treatment plans and take wisdom teeth, put it into an individual treatment plan so you can give them a specific estimate for it. You have any way you can possibly imagine to create treatment plans. You have it right there at your fingertips. The guided patient exam, though, is just so powerful. And this was a very specific problem I had. We're constantly looking at how these features are impacting the results in offices. We're seeing offices increase treatment plan acceptance by using this to the tune of 8 to 9%. An office that's doing $2 million a year, $200,000 in added treatment planning that they're getting done because they have a guided way to talk to patients. And every doctor can put their own spin on it. You don't have to even go in that order. It's just a tool to better communicate how we talk to our patients. The next thing I'm going to show you that people get super excited about is what we call our pipeline. The onboarding that we do, I'm really involved in it. And I really like to work with other dentists. We can just onboard you and give it to you. But I always say software is not the solution. If you don't implement business processes, you're never going to see the results. And so I've worked with many dentists on simple things, your waiting room, changing the color, putting some fresh smell, making sure there's some natural light, putting some nice music on, like small things that actually make a really big impact in these offices. And sometimes we work on implementing business ops. The pipeline is essentially the complete paradigm shift. It turns your patients with outstanding treatment into a sales pipeline. So very similar to what you would see in any other sales process, just an organized way to follow up with patients. What you see here, these are all segments that we've created. You can customize and make your own segments. What a segment is essentially, you can say, let's call it a demo segment, and say, I want to see any patient that we've recommended a crown or onlays to and has been in the office within the last 365 days or has a certain insurance type. And then once you save that, What the system is automatically going to do is constantly update these lists for you. So a patient canceled their appointment, it's going to show up on the pipeline. Patient comes in and doesn't schedule, it shows up on the pipeline. If a patient fits into that criteria, they're going to end up in the pipeline. And you can then assign follow-up to different staff members. But from here, you can add internal notes, assign it. You can document that you reached out to them. Once you reached out to them, we log the activity log, so you can make sure that you're not annoying the patient. You can archive them once you followed up with them, or let's say you made a phone call and you documented that. So phone or email contact, you can move them automatically to follow up, or if you've text messaged them through the pipeline, they'll automatically move to the next step. And that way you have an organized system of, these are my leads, these are the people I followed up with, these are the ones I've scheduled this month and what has been completed. And sometimes you may want to run like a promotion, like an Invisalign promotion. So you can search all the people you've recommended Invisalign to and then reach out to them or send an email blast. But this feature alone, offices are adding production every month that they weren't doing before because they have an organized way to do this. And this is a critical aspect of running your business. Like, we're not a spa, right? Dentists know this. We don't run a spa. People aren't excited to come and get a needle shoved in their face and then their face drilled on and all that fun stuff. But it's critical. We know how important oral health is. We know how awful it is to be in pain. And so it is our responsibility to follow up with patients and get them in. This just gives you an organized way to do it and make sure that your office manager is actually building the schedule. So this is a really unique feature. I haven't seen this in any other system. And we just filed a patent on starting to involve AI in this. So recommend what to comment, surface what patients have the best likelihood of actually responding, which patients have insurance coverage and their age and how it relates to the procedures they need. So there's a lot of stuff that we're constantly improving on this. But this has been a game changer for a lot of the practices that we work with that are implementing this business workflow. So that's our pipeline. I'm going to show you insurance claims. We have a deep integration with Dental Exchange. You essentially can keep track of claims or any procedure that was completed where an insurance claim was not sent. The system will automatically generate a pending claim where you can go in and make all the edits, add your narratives, and then send it out. Because the deep integration, if there's any issue with the claim, is the errors come back right into our dashboard. So you don't need to go into a clearinghouse to add attachments. You do everything here. You don't have to go in and fix claims or see what's outstanding. Everything happens in one dashboard. And then once a claim is sent, it lives under this sent and pending claim. So from here, you can resolve a claim, resubmit a claim, enter in payments, add attachments, add your narratives, add the internal notes, send to secondary, tertiary. You have a dedicated way to organize claims. I think this is going to become more and more the industry standard of just a better way to organize claims. This is a huge part of the headaches that we deal with day to day. This is the average days of getting a claim resolved. So you submit a claim, how long does it take to get paid? The average before using the dental app was 15 and a half days. And then you can see the downward trend. Once everything is dialed in, the average days to get claims paid goes down to around 10.75 days. So just by having everything organized in one place has made it that our offices are getting paid a third faster, which is huge in a given month. Just having a way to organize the headaches that we have to deal with as dentists makes our life so easy. And again, like you said, because it's cloud, I could be on vacation and see what's happening in my office. I can be on vacation and see that my office is reaching out to patients that have outstanding treatment and so on and so forth. I'm going to spend a few minutes just walking you through our version of analytics. I've seen many analytics solutions that are just super overwhelming. There's so many KPIs, you don't really know what to look for. When I have run my own practice, I've really tried to focus on what are the high-level KPIs as a CEO of my practice, what are the things that I'm constantly looking at, and that's how I've designed this. You have two aspects to it. You have the overview and the explorer. Overview is just high level or early in the month. So where's the production scheduled? So you can see second week, not bad. Third week needs some work. Fourth week needs a lot of work. And that's pretty standard. I always am looking at what next month looks like, keeping a pulse on the business. I know so many doctors say, oh, what do you produce a month? I'm not sure. Some of them really know, but then the next step becomes, how do you start your month? What does your typical month look like stacked before you start the month? So having a pulse on how well your practice is doing in the next month so you can get ahead of it. For example, if next month is weak, like June tends to be a really slow month, maybe your staff should be doing more outreach at the end of May to try to stack up June to find unique use cases. So you have high-level production, high-level collections, high-level accounts receivables. Down here, total appointments for the month, how many new patients, average appointment value. One of the sequences that goes out every night is just getting internal feedback. You send out a message to patients at 7 p.m. How was your appointment? Based on that, we collect the feedback and make sure that we help dentists get ahead of bad reviews before they happen. That's the overview. And then you have Explore. So Explore essentially helps you get a better idea of how new patients are impacting your business, how existing patients and recare is impacting your business. Again, so it's not every KPI under the sun, but it just gives you a really clear and easy way to understand what are the problems in your business. It's a way to help you diagnose issues and then get to work. New patients, this is how many new patients, this is the percent of production, and we don't have to go through all these KPIs, but it's built in a way that it really helps you get a pulse on how your business is doing. For example, what are the top codes that you're doing this month? How many hygiene appointments do you have? This is what's completed versus scheduled. And then again, revenue cycle. So a really solid, concrete snapshot and insight into the practice. And you can filter through months, you can filter by doctors. These are things that are really critical. Reporting is pretty standard, the different reports that you'd want to have. The system has been optimized and tested. We're obsessive about performance. This thing is really meant to screen and just make your life easy. There's no campaigns in here because
it's a demo.
So you can go in and create different filters for which patients. You can input, it's pretty much a text field. You can preview the email before you send it out. And once you send it out, you have insights into what you delivered, how many people opened, clicked, spam, and so on.
And you guys utilize a email company for this? This is pretty cool.
Yes, we have integrations with text messaging company, email, and it's all built into the price. It's all out of the box, ready to go. Sequences is essentially automatic reminders. For example, out of the box, we have a sequence that sends any new patient their forms, and we have forms built in and all that. So you could say missed appointment, and then you can filter further by, say, age or next appointment type, last appointment type, whatever it is. And then from there, you can then say, okay, if a patient has missed an appointment, I want you to send a text message, send an email message, or create a task for the staff to follow up. You could say, hey, patient first name, you missed your appointment, please reschedule. And then we can add a book online link. And then you can specify which days you want it to go on. And these are things that we help you set up when you onboard. But you can do this on the fly on your own. You don't need us for this. It's fully built in and baked in. We have a dedicated claims expert. Patty on our team has been dealing with insurance claims for over 25 years. She's our dedicated claims expert. Any office that has a problem with an insurance claim or the claims dashboard, they come up with a corner case that we haven't solved for. They can get on the phone with Patty. She'll help them sort it out. We have tech support. I'm still pretty accessible. We typically are setting up a Slack channel for the office where they can message our engineers directly. We're extremely hands-on. We want our offices to succeed using this.
Yeah, but if I'm get stuck here and I want to create a sequence, you help me set it up.
Absolutely.
One of the things that interested me about this software was that the dental app has been around for 6 years, and now he feels that this is perfected to the point that it can help a lot of offices.
Yeah, when I started, I didn't think I was going to build all of this out. I think what happened was we started building and we said, okay, we really need this, or we need to solve for this business workflow. And then really trying to find our unique position in terms of being the growth platform. Because we're not just practice management, we're practice management with business workflows built in. We've been around for 6 years. A lot of that time we've been developing the technology, testing it. We went through a HIPAA compliance audit. We kept iterating and improving, figuring out, like the pipeline is on its maybe 6th or 7th iteration. We've really spent a lot of time fine-tuning this. We've worked with multiple design partners, large practices, DSOs. The practices that are onboarded really took the time to perfect our onboarding process. Our data synchronizer currently supports Open Dental and Dentrix, and we onboard historical claims. So if you have outstanding insurance claims, we onboard them. I know a lot of solutions don't do that. So there's just a lot that we've done to really set the foundation so we're ready to go. And we weren't in a rush. We really wanted to build a best-in-class piece of software and bring that to market.
And I also want to build this concept to be loyal to your early customers.
Sure.
And I want to make sure that software companies and companies that are providing us services are aware of this. Leo, you told me that you're going to lock this price in, right?
That's right. I want everyone that's listening to this to hear from the horse's mouth, as they say. I want to democratize high quality software. We've currently priced everything you saw for $3.99 a month. And then if you want imaging, it's an additional fee. It's through Soda. We give up our rev share on it. We want to make this a no-brainer, and we will lock in anyone who joins us.
Yeah,
And
let me translate that. Let me
yeah,
translate. First of all, I recommend everybody getting the imaging. Some people decide to use their server for imaging. I'm like, no, you want to go cloud because you want to save money on buying servers every 4 to 5 years, upgrading, maintaining, securing. And what Lior has done is that basically is giving you Soda Cloud imaging at cost. And you are going to lock those who sign up early on this price.
that is right.
Your software is great. It's doing something not everybody is doing. And I feel like it is something for people to demo. Do you have anything else to add?
The last thing I'll say is I'm a practicing dentist. I know what it's like to run a practice. It's not easy. I think it's very rewarding. And at the end of the day, I tell practice owners, do you want the practice to run you, or do you want to run your practice? And I can help you do the latter. I've worked with many of the dentists that have onboarded onto our software to actually implement some of these things. You don't have to do that. You can just use it as you wish. But our goal is to help practices thrive, succeed, and really just change how they practice. And that's our mission. Those are my final thoughts.
Great.